Welcome to All in AI, the show where we break down what artificial intelligence means for everyone, not just the engineers or tech CEOs or IT specialists. I'm your host, Key Touch, and today we're diving into how AI is already shaping your world in ways you may not even realize. This is episode 2. We are continuing this momentum and just getting this information out. We know a lot of people are concerned about AI, and we're here to make it accessible and real in your lives. Look, today's theme is all about AI in everyday life and business. Oh my goodness, our guest today is so dynamic. And he is the founder and CEO of End to End Analytics. I'm talking about Robert Stewart. His company helps businesses make smarter decisions through AI powered supply chain optimization. I know you want to know what that means. He's going to explain it to us. He's a national award winning entrepreneur, mentor, and philanthropist. He serves on the board of Jazz St. Louis and supports youth leadership through the Stewart Family Foundation. Robert's work brings AI out of the cloud and into a real world impact, from warehouses to classrooms. Let's welcome Robert to the show. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I need to take what you're taking. I'm talking to you, got the energy. I love it. I love it. I love it. It inspires me. So whatever you do first thing in the morning, whether it's working out or running, I need to adopt that philosophy. So thank you so much for having me. I didn't know this was your second episode. So how exciting.
Yes. And I mean, Robert, I'm so excited because AI is really, truly amazing. And I want everyone to get on board and understand it's nothing to fear, but it's something to understand in a way to apply it in your life.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%.
All right, Robert, let's just start off simple. If someone never studied AI, how would you explain what you do at End to End?
Well, at end to end, we help large companies and small companies scale faster, do more with less. So, in today's environment, small companies can use AI and other tools like it to look, feel, and actually deliver like large companies can. And that's something we've never had before in the marketplace, just because of the efficiency and the kinds of things that deliver. So we help companies to deliver faster with and do more with less.
To do more with less. And that seems to kind of be the theme of AI, right? Doing more with less.
It does. Some people take that to mean that they are going to, it means, hey, we don't need all these employees. Well, there will be a shift in that particular space. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. But what it really means is that you can actually produce more. You can actually find yourself executing more value for your position or for your client, or for your company than you ever were before by just implementing some of these tools.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So, what are some everyday ways AI is impacting our lives? Things people may not even realize.
Well, I'll give you an example. I just came out of an example. Okay, I was in a meeting with several people, and our chief of staff is in the meeting, and she does a great job. And usually, it takes a little while to kind of get the meeting notes, get everybody a task, and get all this stuff kind of sorted out. But because not only did she sort it or record it, she was able to drop it in AI, get it sorted out. All of the tasks were assigned and a summary was delivered. And within 15 minutes, everyone had their assignments. Everyone knew exactly what they were to do. And it was listed on their chart. And something that would have taken maybe an hour and a half or so to do before took about 10 or 15 minutes max. And that's because she was distracted with phone calls and got it distributed to everyone. And now they're actually executing. Now, if you think about that, if she's working an 8-hour day and I just, by using that little bit of a tool, saved her an hour of work, that adds up. And if you do it across the teams, it adds up to a lot. So it's just one small example of how it gets implemented into our daily work routine.
Awesome. Let's talk about end-to-end analytics a little more and the AI drive and end-to-end analytics. Give us something simple that you do. I know you just mentioned something about the meeting and how simple that
Sure.
was getting AI. Let's talk about within your organization, something you use on a daily basis that the employees use or whatever with AI, just to break it down a little bit more for us.
Well, so one of the very interesting things is that we have, I don't know, at least on an hourly basis, 100 people maybe doing that, calculating those hours and bringing those hours in and getting that sorted out so we understand PTO and everything that's going on is usually a task that takes someone, several hours to sort through and calculate. But because of some of the tools, some of it we might call AI, and I'm really trying to be careful with that with AI, because sometimes we overstate it. We think it's the magic pill, and some of these things are really automated workflows that take data and data sets and actually merging them and sorting them and making them clear. So there are a number of steps before we get to AI, but these things actually help our workflow to not only speed up, put time back into our team, but allow them to connect those things together so we get a more product out of the same time and effort. So the level of effort goes down, but the production goes up.
The level of effort goes down, but the production goes up. So what is a common misconception about AI that you think we should clear up? Because people are hearing so many things like you kind of touched on. Oh, it's taking away jobs. It's doing this. It's doing that. What are one of the myths you think we should clear up about AI?
I talk to a lot of people about this, and it's interesting to me because a lot of times we use that term as if it's like some magic pill, some magic umbrella, and it's actually not. So I was in Liberia back in July of 2025. And it was interesting because I met with some of the government leaders and the Department of Labor and mining, and it was really interesting to hear them talk about AI. And their thought process is that we're going to use AI and it's going to do this. We're going to use AI and it's going to do that. But the reality of it is that there were some many steps that needed to take place before converting some documents into data sets and understanding what those data sets look like and how we store them, how we access them. That's not AI, but we have to have that clean, accessible data, as well as being able to capture data on a regular basis in order to even have the baseline for AI. Because without any data, there's nothing, there's no intelligence to sort, right? We always use our intelligence by connecting our memory and our experience and merging those things together to make decisions. But if we don't have a memory and we don't have those experiences, it's impossible to do. So I think the term gets a little bit overused. Some things are workflows, and workflows, when you automate those, they turn into good data. And when that good data gets in the pool and it has history, then AI can start making predictions and decisions and helping with those next steps. And the next really adventure is connecting those decisions with the next leg in the workflow. So it's connecting all those things. So there's a foundational piece that I think sometimes we miss that talks about AI, but really it's about having clean, consistent data and how we actually access that data and then use that to connect to decisions.
Makes sense. That was a good breakdown for us, Robert Stewart. We appreciate that. And it's true, like you said, a lot of people feel like it's this magic wand. Hey, I'm going to just run this through AI real quick. No, you have to make sure everything is formatted correctly, make sure the data can be utilized. And then you can implement AI to do the rest. When we're talking about the mass analytics that may happen with all this different data, all these different data sets, but that foundation is still needed. That foundation is still needed. AI is not just a magic wand, as you said, that will just fix everything that you put in.
We agree. Yeah. One of the things that everybody uses today, whether it's Copilot or Chat GPT, and we'll ask it questions or have it help us to write something and assist us with these things, which are great. I mean, there's no complaints about that. We use that all the time. But taking it to the next level is one great way to kind of implement AI, is to create your persona in AI, which a lot of people never get to that. It's like, who are you, and how do you want me to think, and who am I writing this from what perspective? What is the history of that person? What is their thought process? And you can actually train your AI to speak in your voice. You can also ask the AI to speak in someone else's voice. I need an expert from this particular category that's doing these things, that has this background, and I want you to check these periodicals like Harvard Business Review and gain facts from Newsweek or whatever it might be, and help me with an analyzation of this particular question. So sometimes AI is not the answer. Sometimes AI is giving you a more intelligent question.
Yes, and I'm glad you touched on that, Robert, because with my experience with ChatGPT, I actually took some courses on LinkedIn just to be able to figure out how to do proper prompts, right? So I can get the desired results. And the more information, the better. Because like you said, it doesn't know you. It doesn't know what you're seeking. So the more information you can put in there, the better the output. Kind of like what you said. Hey, like with writing, let's say I needed to write a proposal. Hey, I need to write a proposal for a candy business, right? But if you just say that, that's one thing. But if you take it a step further and said, okay, so for a candy business, I have a budget of $5,000. I'm in this location. What kind of candy should I be purchasing? I only need 5 different kinds to get the best cost benefit for the best return on investment. So that's a good prompt. And you've done your research, or you know what you're looking for, and you're taking that time to input that information into your AI to get the desired result. Your thoughts on what I just said, Robert?
No, I think that's excellent. I'll take it just a couple of more steps into that, right? You can ask, it's interesting to play this little game, is to ask AI to improve your prompt.
Ha!
So it's like, well, I want to be the foremost expert in building a candy store with the same mind as a Sam Walton or something else, whatever it might be, right? And if from that perspective, help me build a prompt to ask the proper question of AI in order to get the best answer, right? And so now you're using AI to help you form an intelligent question to ask AI.
That's deep, Robert. You're using
I know
AI.
that. I don't want to confuse. It sounds confusing, but I'm like, help me ask a better question. I was consulting with a young man earlier today, and we do this a lot, and he was asking me questions about his business and what he could do next and that kind of thing. And I said, I listened to him, but I said, let me help you with the question. You're not ready for that question yet. Let's talk about these other things. AI can help you do that. Right? He's like, how do I get an investor to do this? I'm like, first, you need to be very clear about who you are, what you are, who you serve, and why they want you. Then we can start thinking about how you scale and having a plan and a repetitive motion for that. Then you're in a position to actually duplicate your time and energy. Now we're in a position to start asking. So asking AI to help you with that can help you ask better questions and give you the order so that you can get a more intelligent answer.
And that's really important. And I'm glad you said that, Robert, because a lot of people are starting to use AI using ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and really don't have a grasp for it. And one thing I try to always encourage people to do, Robert, we have this thing called YouTube University, right? YouTube can teach you. They have videos on everything. So just take the time to apply yourself. It's right at your fingertips. It's not like in the old days, I would say the 90s, when you had to go to a library to do your research. I remember as a child going to Rice University, going to do my little science fair, get my research for my projects, using the Dewey Decimal System. Kids don't even know what that is today.
That is true.
And now with the technology and AI being able to grab different resources, kind of like you said, I could say, hey, could you search these medical journals, for example, for this particular topic? And then at my fingertips or on my laptop, I can immediately have access to all of these articles relevant to this project and go from there. So it's not a hard thing to do. Everyone has a smartphone, that little computer.
That's true. That's true.
And you can do anything you want to with that. Look, you are watching All in AI. Today's guest, Robert Stewart. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn. Share this with anyone curious about tech, curious about AI. We are setting the trend here in All in AI.
I like it.
What you put in to the system is what you get out. And you've often heard garbage in, garbage out. Well, an entire group of humans will have to interrogate the data in AI, or what we call training. You put the stuff in and you make sure that it is correct. AI does hallucinate. It fills in the gap. So where there is no knowledge, it will fill in that gap. And then it will remember. So bad data, bad answers continue to grow within the system. That is the power of asking the right questions and looking at a person as the whole and finding solutions, and not simply using it as a quick research tool, but actually using it as a way of augmenting to the brain and to the knowledge and to the specialty of experts.
This year, the tide is stronger than ever. For 30 years, we've been creating space for growth, innovation, and global competitiveness in STEM. From students and early career professionals to senior leaders and executives, this is where STEM changemakers gather. Join us in Baltimore for the 30th anniversary of the Ways of Change STEM Global Competitiveness Conference. 3 days of learning, networking, and shaping the future. October 23rd through the 25th, Baltimore, Maryland. Mark your calendar. Waves of Change, Oceans of Opportunity. More information at ccgmag.com/WOC.
All right. Welcome again. We are all in. Robert.
Yes.
How does your team use AI to help businesses make better decisions?
Well, some of the things that kind of go on in this space is that businesses need to implement affordable AI tools, and sometimes you have large businesses which they're making this huge investments and they're making those all of those things, but the reality of it is that the daily activity is where it's most effective when you start to connect those things together. When we look at how we actually do this, we have our employees are not only when they're getting to the site, but looking at how to integrate it into inventory management, how to integrate it into predictive analytics, some chat bots and those kinds of things to help us collect data and be able to predict where and who is consuming certain kinds of things, or where we're seeing workflows get bottlenecked, or where we're seeing buying trends and that kind of thing. So we can actually balance out things. We kind of look at everything as almost a workflow or a supply chain or a manufacturing line. You don't want it to be held up in one place, because that lowers the efficiency on everything. So it's about having a consistent workflow, which we call throughput. So throughput is really the goal. Even if you slow some things down, while you speed other things up, having a consistent flow is the answer to having the greatest amount of efficiency. So I think that's one of the things we think that it's we get back to that magic pill thing. It's not a microwave scenario. Sometimes you have to dig in a little bit to really help you get the right answer.
Just out of curiosity, your employees, are they all IT professionals, or most of them IT professionals?
I would say most of them. Most of them. We have a lot of project managers. We have a lot of IT professionals, some biotech, financial tech, we call them fintech people. But yeah, we have a number of in several different categories.
Okay, because I wanted to kind of talk about that just a little bit. So I know, like, when you're talking about IT and AI, you have a lot of data scientists, for example.
Yeah.
Or you may have data scientists.
Well, those data scientists,
and I was just kind of trying to see, like, the different.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Those data scientists work pretty independently. That's a different planet right there. So they're an interesting group of people. We love them. We love them, but that's a little different planet. But we often supply, just putting them in position with companies and letting them do their work inside those organizations, understanding what they're analyzing, what they're actually executing, and what the outcome needs to be. They work pretty independently in that particular environment. But when we're actually involved in building something, or involved in having to manage the outcome, that's when we're really trying to drive efficiencies.
Okay. You mentioned in the opening that you do a lot of AI-powered optimization. What does that look like in practice?
We'll give it to you in a simple form of onboarding. We hire somebody new, and how that workflow happens to bring them on, have them trained, and have them into and ready to go to work. So we've found them, defined the role, agreed to everything, but all of that now can be done in an automated fashion. That really is an automated workflow, but the AI will help us to determine who are the candidates that are most likely to be ideal for the culture and the job. It's one thing to sort through 1,000 resumes, which we can do using AI. It's another thing to sort through those and really start to detect, using other tools connected to AI, will they fit the culture that we need in order to execute some of these things. So can't always do that, but AI can narrow it down where it is actually a very manageable opportunity to find the right candidate. And then behind that, the automation and the workflow addition of bringing them on board is very specific. But that's one way we do that.
Okay. So what has helped, something that's helped you improve efficiency or accuracy? Any example?
Yeah, so, marketing campaigns, right, is a really good example. Understanding who our audience is, and really defining that. So one of the hard things about, any business, right, is not only understanding who you are and being very specific about that, but who sees value in you, and how do you get all those people in the same room, right? And I'd love to get them all in the same room and say, hey, this is how great we are, and we can help you and all that. But we can do some of that with the right kinds of marketing campaigns. Identifying the problem, using AI to help us do that. Identifying the market of people who have those common kinds of issues, and then presenting them with at least proposed solutions that help them to resolve or solve problems that they have currently that we can actually fit for. But narrowing that down is an activity that the marketing as not just throwing things out there, seeing what happens. There's a number of AI tools that allow us to study what's out there and then see which ones of these are most likely to be our best client or customer that we can serve.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the marketing campaign, because that's kind of like what I was trying to do earlier, kind of connect dots. So if you have a marketing department, so we have different people who, major and specialize in marketing or promotions, and how that comes together with a campaign using AI to identify this and that, and how those two pieces work together. Because what I'm trying to drive home is you don't have to be an IT expert. You have different components in all industries, and all industries are embracing AI and just finding your way. So I'm really glad you brought up marketing and how people can use a marketing campaign, use AI to identify consumers that would best benefit, or current customers that would best benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned something earlier, which I thought was really interesting. You were saying, like, there's YouTube University, right? And a lot of times people are really trying to learn AI, but using AI to learn is one very, very powerful tool, because AI can actually, you want to learn a language, or you want to learn some programming skills, or you want to learn whatever it might be. It can actually help you not only with the curriculum, you use some of the tools, whether it's YouTube or whatever, and then you can come back and it can prompt you with questions and where you need to work on this or that. It's a very good teacher. I mean, like, literal. Some people think, well, you can't use AI. You shouldn't use it in school. You shouldn't use it for education. But I believe just the opposite. But because used properly, you can. We'll give you an example. If and we've done some training here, and we have to do training off and on in different areas, whether it's cyber or whatever it might be. But if I have a group of people, or even in a classroom, and they all learn differently, and they learn at different speeds, or maybe we're teaching a composition class. If a teacher has 20 people in the class and they're all writing the composition, and how long does it take that instructor to read every one of those compositions, create a critique and constructive feedback, and give it back to them, right? And then help them make those corrections, and then they review it again. With AI, that correction and that redirection can be done in an instant, and then the areas where they're weak can be identified instantly and start understanding how that individual learns. Well, we need to look at that in the workplace, because we have a lot of tribal knowledge that goes from, hey, a generation that's retiring, a generation that understands some of the automation and AI tools and online tools that are available. And we've got to train them up quickly in order to come in and actually take over some of the positions that are actually being vacated through attrition. So the same concept applies as we develop the scopes or standard operating procedures, and are able to transfer information to a generation of people who may not have that tribal knowledge. There's a lot of work to do there, but the equation of how we educate in the workplace and how we educate in our education system are very, very aligned.
Yes, you broke that down for us, Robert Stewart. So, Robert, you've been really intentional about mentoring young people, especially in underserved communities. Why is that imperative in the AI space?
Well, let me put it. I'm gonna answer your question, I promise, but I'm gonna alter it just a little bit. Right? We have an opportunity right now for a transference of wealth. There's a real opportunity. And we have a number of people that either take AI as this kind of fearful monster, and some people think that it's a microwave, like you can get an instant and there you go, and you got it, right? But if we can really understand what that is, you all of a sudden can bring a much greater value to the marketplace than those who either reject it or don't actually embrace it in a way where they're actually using it to bring additional value. I told you that our mission here is to do more with less, but each individual has an opportunity to do that. You know, you can take a high school student today and they can learn and get certifications in certain IT fields and other fields, but they can come out of high school without going to college. I'm not encouraging that necessarily, but going to six-figure incomes if they're focused on certain kinds of things. I'm not advocating for that necessarily, but I am saying that there's a fit for everybody to find how to use AI, how to bring greater value, how to learn certain things and apply it to the marketplace to get ahead. Right. And so there's a number of people out here, man. I got a job. I'm feeling good. I got my house. I'm rolling along. I'm not trying to learn anything new. Well, they're going to get, you're going to wonder what hits you, because it's going to be like a jet passing a bicycle when it comes to how you're applying AI to those who are not. And that's what we're up against. So teaching our next generation of kids, Black and brown, underserved, underrepresented, however you want to put it, right? And teaching them how to do that will put them light years ahead, or put them on a fast track to actually begin to bring value earlier in their life as opposed to later.
Love it. And I love that part when you was talking about generational wealth, transferring of wealth, giving people opportunity that wasn't there before. We kind of saw the big transfer or opportunity after the Civil Rights Act in 1964, when you saw a lot of Black people in particular going to college. We already had HBCUs around the country, but in abundance. Like my mom was the first to get a college degree in our family. So that was a big deal. So when you're talking about technology, we're talking about IT, when you can just go and get some certification, spend a year, 2 years getting trained up and getting some entry-level experience straight out of high school. By the time you're 21, you're doing well. You can be making six figures working from home.
Yes.
That changes the game.
Yes.
You can provide for your family. You can plan for a family.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And the learning, but the crazy thing is the learning never stops. Once the idea here is not to say, okay, I did that and I got a job. You're going to fall into the trap of the generations before us and the generations that we're in, right? Of saying, I'm on this job and I've got it and everything set. This is an environment where we'll continue to have to learn, continue to be in line with what's going on, not just in AI and how its application brings value to the market. And as you get into the flow of what that is and stay in that flow as it changes, it's a consistent learning process, which will keep you in the consistent flow or the consistent cash flow of our marketplace. So it's extremely important that we continue to learn. And AI is a great tool to actually be involved in that learning process.
But that's great you said that, because it's something you can continue to learn and it continues to pay off for you.
Yes.
It's not like, when you go to school, you learn, you get your degree. And of course, when you practice in the real world, you're learning. But with AI, or not even just AI, technology, period, things will continue to change. The first trend recently was cybersecurity. Everyone was going to get cybersecurity. People want to be forensic accountants. It was a high demand for it. But when you continue to grow and continue to learn your craft, I always tell people you should master your craft or learn as much about the industry you're in as possible to stay competitive in technology, IT. That really pays off, and everything is evolving in front of our eyes. Understand, we are living this right now as it's unfolding. We don't know what's coming next. Things are continuously being discovered. Get on the train. Get on the way. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It's something you're talking about a lot is the IT space, the IT industry. But when I'm talking to some of our young people about AI and some of the things we're talking about, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Right. You could be in the restaurant industry. You could be, finding markets for your podcast, or you might be even an athlete. We're looking at people admire Steph Curry and all he's done, but the analytics that goes along with his game is a product of AI. I mean, literally understanding every.
Don't get me going there, Robert. Don't get me going there. I love it. I love it. Let me just touch on that real quick. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I was doing some reading, and I saw one case study that the NFL they're using AI. So different teams have AI that's been built. And so the defensive coach, for example, if he's on the sideline, he see what the offensive line does. He only has a couple of seconds to make a decision. So based what he sees on the field, he can hit something real quick, boom, send these two people out to stop that play. That's how big this is when we're talking about analytics. This is huge.
Yes. It doesn't see, so it penetrates every walk of life, every industry. I don't care if you wanted to be a pilot or you want to be, if you're an athlete or if you're a coach, it doesn't matter. The application of what we're talking about it affects all of us, no matter what and where we're working. So I sometimes I think people think, oh, that's an AI. I mean, that's an issue around IT, and I'm not in IT space. No, this transference of wealth means that you understand how to apply it in whatever business you're in, cosmetology through a restaurant to whatever it might be. Application of this stuff is absolutely imperative for you to be successful by bringing supreme value to your marketplace.
And then understand this. If you have these thoughts, right, you can use AI to expand upon them. That's kind of like what Robert was saying before. Like AI can help you come up with more questions. And even by the answers it generates, you'll be like, oh, shoot, I didn't even think of that. I do need to know this. Let me put this in. And then I thought of 3 other things.
Yes. So that's exactly what happened. The path that it can take you down, and then all of a sudden you're in the place you wanted to be, but it's so rich and full. And then you can, start dealing with assignments, but you got to keep guiding it. It will take you off course. You have to keep guiding. Some people get a little bit, I don't want to use the word, I don't want to use the word lazy, but just not diving in as deep as they should. Because look at the answers and understand what that is, where it's coming from, and understand how to ask a better question. Even ask it how to ask a better question. Just start talking in a way that says, hey, did you forget? I want you to think about this. And I want you to use the perspective of this. But what if I was the greatest in the world at this? What would you do? Doing those kinds of things. Have this conversation that you and I are having right now. How can I have a better podcast, and who should our audience be, and what are they doing, and what kind of topics would be interesting for them, and how would they actually apply this, and then what industries are they interested in? And so we can bring some of those industry experts on, and we can just go on and on and on and on. And basically you can narrow that down to the top 3 or the top 2 most effective, most impactful, and ask it that question, and you got a starting point. But only asking 1,000 questions before that gets you there. So I think it's just imperative we look at it as inclusive, not exclusive, that anybody and everybody should participate, because it will help you bring greater value to your marketplace.
Well said, Robert. And I have to counter your point. I'm going to say you're lazy if you don't take the time to go and dive
I don't like that word. I try not to use it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use it. I'll be the bad girl today. It is okay. Look, if you are just joining us, this is All in AI with Robert Stewart. Drop your questions in the comments and follow us at All in AI for updates and new episodes. Stay with us.
Calling all future STEM pioneers, leaders, and career champions. Join us on every second Saturday of the month for the BEA Career Day. BEA STEM Career Day is all about creating opportunities for students to venture into the world of STEM through the eyes of professionals. You'll meet mentors and presenters that will give you a sneak peek into the many options available to you in the field of STEM. Hosted by teen ambassadors, you'll find yourself among inspiring peers just like yourself that are aiming high for their future. To take part in the BEA STEM Career Day on Zoom, visit fullstemahead.us and register for the next session. Again, that's fullstemahead.us. BEA, becoming everything you are.
A world of careers unleashed. You can get it at BEA. Become everything you are.
Yes, welcome back to All in AI. We are here with Robert Stewart. Robert, we were having a good conversation going.
How much fun? This is fun.
This is fun, man.
It's fun. This is good stuff. No, I love it. One of the things you were just talking about, I thought was interesting as we look at some of the other industries. Man, you know how many years it took for companies to kind of gather this information and how much it costs them to kind of gather the information and implement it? It's so affordable. Anybody can actually access it. That's really what I talk about, how we can access this and really use it. We got a responsibility to implement it because it's there, and most of it is really very affordable or free.
Yes, very affordable or free.
Yeah,
That is
good
great.
stuff.
Robert, let's get into the hard questions. Hard
Uh-oh.
questions. All right.
Uh-oh.
Will AI take jobs away from real people?
Will real people use AI to enhance their job? The reality of it is that when I was a kid, and this will tell you a little bit about my age, my brothers and sisters would go off to college, and they would, when they drove from home to college, they would call back a collect call and talk to the operator, and then we'd say, no, my sister Yvonne, she's not here, but that was Yvonne on the call. Point was that we used an operator. And so when telephones kind of advanced, we got these switching stations and those automatic, and all the operators, you don't know what an operator is today, but they all got jobs doing other things because it just eliminated a particular category and it moved on to something else, right? I remember my sister-in-law was an operator. But the point is that there will be some jobs that get shifted, but doesn't mean they're eliminated. And your ability to do more with less by learning these tools keeps you in the game where you're always bringing value. If we have the mindset that we're always here to bring superior value, then man, valuable people are always employed. That's always the case. So will jobs shift? Absolutely. Will you be in the game because you continue to upskill and learn? Absolutely. Of course you will, right? If you choose to be dormant and not actually adopt and apply and bring new value, then, finding jobs against people who are doing that, it's going to be more difficult.
Just like with anything else, we've seen it recently in the grocery stores. You don't see as many cashiers. You're doing self-checkout most of the time, unless you have, a large purchase or something and you don't want to bag your own groceries. True. So you're basically saying just keep yourself valuable, keep yourself knowledgeable, and you'll be fine. That's what I got.
That's exactly what that was it. Man, you say it so much better than I do. Thank you.
No, you did great, Robert. You gave us the great answer. I just gave you the short one.
The short version. I love it. That's great.
How do we make sure AI doesn't make inequality worse?
Learn. Get in the game. Don't run away from it. Run into it. Get in the game and continue to learn. And when I first got in the business, really one of the very few things my brother told me was that relationships are everything, and always seek ways to bring value. That was it, right? And so I think that applies here, right? It applies in a couple of different ways, but it definitely applies to always seek to bring value, and that will absolutely play in that space.
All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of these. Just answer with tool or threat. It's a quick mini segment. All right.
Uh-oh.
AI in hiring, tool or threat?
Tool.
AI in policing, tool or threat?
Can I
tool or threat?
I'm going to go with tool.
AI in education, tool or threat?
Tool.
AI in healthcare, tool or threat?
Tool.
All right. So I know you want to talk about policing.
I'm going to talk about all of it. I'm going to give you this as to underpin all of that. And that is core values and ethics. Without core values and ethics, all of them are a threat. With core values and ethics, all of them are tools.
That was great. That was great. All right. What is a piece of advice you always give?
The
Doesn't
most
matter
powerful, yeah.
any of that.
Well, I think because I mentor and talk to a lot of small businesses and help them when they're first, trying to move from that, sole proprietor / small business into the next step. It's kind of, I do a lot of that. And I think one of the big things is understanding who you are. The most powerful answer you can give is no. And it's usually the best answer, because if you know who you are and what you do and you're very specific about it, then it's easy to say no. I was talking to a young man earlier, and I know him because he's a singer, but he's doing some other things. And I gave him this same analogy, and I mean, he's got a great voice. I mean, he's sung.
Who is he? Shout him out.
His name is Quincy Scott, and
Okay.
so he was talking about his business and whole. I said, let me share something. If you're going to go and somebody asks you to sing baritone in a chamber choir, do you say yes or no? Is that who you are? Right? Or if they have you sing lead in a gospel quartet or whatever it might be, do you say yes or no? You know your craft well enough to know which one of those belongs to you and which one doesn't. So your ability to say no, even if it's in the category of your expertise, will allow you to shine. Because if you pick the wrong one, that's not you, you will actually fail. So the point is simply to, as you kind of grow into your business, is to define yourself even more, which allows you to say more no's. But when you say yes, you're able to shine, accelerate, scale, and profit.
I like that. I like that, Robert. That was great.
I'm glad you like that. I'm so happy you're happy.
I was actually processing that. I like that. I like that. I really do. What gives you hope for the future of tech?
Wow, that's a loaded question. The reason is because I think it's gonna go through some evolutions, right? One evolution is that right now we have everybody has quite a bit of access, and it's affordable and all the above. And those who adopt and apply and bring value are going to go like 100 miles an hour, and they're going to do well. And then there are those who decided not to participate, and it's going to create a wealth divide. So we're in a position where earlier we can all participate and kind of get in the game and look at this wealth transfer. But as we move down the road, there's going to be a wealth divide, because some are going to hoard the value and hoard their ability to turn that into power, and some never participated and they won't know how to access it. So it's going to be hard to catch up. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but my hope for the future is that I convince as many people as possible to not run away from it, but put their arms around it and understand how it can enhance their ability to bring value to the marketplace.
Yes, you answered it. When you're talking about the divide, how long do you think that is? 5-10 years before people can jump on board? What are you thinking? Just an estimate.
I'm looking around for my crystal ball. Come on now.
I was wondering what you were looking for. Okay.
I'm like, where is that thing? I know I got it around here somewhere. There's a lot of predictions out there about how far we'll be by 2030. Or by 2035. Well, we know that the population is changing over the course of the next 10 years, that minority groups become majority groups. So if we're participating properly, like we're suggesting, there's a lot of opportunity there. And so, I think we can better be in the game heavily over the course of the next 5 years, definitely the next 10. But I think that window is in that range of being able to accelerate the power and value that you bring to the marketplace.
All right. Robert, this has been a phenomenal interview. I want you to talk to us and give us a message for the next generation.
Well, you lay it on me thick, don't you? I mean, it's not no pressure, right? For the next generation.
No pressure. Just your message, your words, your thoughts.
Yeah, I would say at the foundation of everything, trust God and follow peace. Now, I say that with my own convictions, right? But we start figuring out that this life that we live is short. And we don't think about that when we're 15. We don't think that when we're 25. But as we kind of go through some of these things, it's like, man, it really is a very short window. And if you do it with peace, with a set of core values, it will be more meaningful in the long run. I will say this, that your daily habits create your quality of life. Whatever those daily habits are, don't expect to get some outcome that doesn't come from that daily habit. And it comes at a penny a day. It doesn't come in chunks. It comes at a penny a day. It comes in this very incremental. But when you look behind you, after you've done that and you've maintained this very strong work ethic and daily habits, you'll find that the payoff is greater than you could ever imagine. People often underestimate what they can do in a year, and they just overestimate it, but they underestimate what can happen in 3 to 5 years. So just keep those habits the same and be consistent, analyze them, reconstruct them, but keep them consistent, and you will absolutely be successful. So there's one thing about that we all have is 24 hours in a specific day. Use them wisely. There's another thing is that investment makes your money make money. Always plant, right? A man that plants a seed believes in God because you can't see the growth until it comes above the ground. So I would say just those basic things, but it always stems back to the core values and your core beliefs, and that will strategically drive your daily habits, and you'll find peace in that and do that, and you'll be successful without question.
Wow, I am inspired. I am touched. I am motivated to do something every day, a little more every day for that consistency and planting that seed. I like that. What was that you just said about planting the seed?
I don't know. Don't ask me to repeat these things. How am I supposed to know what I'm saying?
Okay, but it was great. I mean, hey, that was beautiful, Robert. That was beautiful.
You're very kind.
No, honestly, Robert, that was great. Great words. Great motivational message. Robert Stewart, look, we enjoyed having you today on All in AI. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. What a pleasure. Thank you for having me. What an honor it is to be here.
Sometimes we don't even know what we don't know, and we don't know who we can talk to. But it's organizations like this where you can have those conversations so that you don't feel isolated. What do I need to know to get there? Okay, I went to college, I got the degree, I got a master's, or I got a PhD. How do you make certain that you know what you're supposed to do and how to navigate a corporation within? That's huge. That's huge. Sometimes we don't have a family member in our circle. Sometimes it's somebody that we knew 5 years ago who can bring some information to the table. We have to be able to dial a number with people that we know understand what we may or may not be going through, or what we need. So if you're getting a PhD, but you didn't know that you also needed to do something else or not, who's there to be able to talk to you and help you navigate your career? People who've already had that experience that you can just call up and say, I just had this experience and it didn't feel good. And somebody's there to talk you through it. Life isn't always easy in corporate America, but you've got to build your circle.
This year, the tide is stronger than ever. For 30 years, we've been creating space for growth, innovation, and global competitiveness in STEM. From students and early career professionals to senior leaders and executives, this is where STEM changemakers gather. Join us in Baltimore for the 30th anniversary of the Waves of Change STEM Global Competitiveness Conference. 3 days of learning, networking, and shaping the future. October 23rd through the 25th, Baltimore, Maryland. Mark your calendar. Waves of Change, Oceans of Opportunity. More information at ccgmag.com/WOC.